about appetizer.
Alligator cheesecake.
It's so darn good. It's not. It's warm. You know, like it's. It's crazy good.
That's weird. I just wouldn't combine cheesecake and alligator.
You'd never think to.
Yeah.
And it's not quite like that. It's just gonna be like it's cream cheese, but now you think the warm side of it.
Yeah.
And you think.
I'll take that back. Last night where we ate, I can't remember the place, but it did have a crepe. Shrimp crepe appetizer, so I guess it's the same thing then, right? Yeah, that was good too.
Oh, this is wonderful.
Yeah. All right, here we are, hot seat. If anybody's watching, anybody want to hear? So we're at Hair Gear Infinity. How's it going there?
It's going.
If he wants you to pick up that mic,
this mic is connected to this.
That's just for the people walking by. But if we get mic stop, yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
You should be picked up here. How's it going there?
It is going extremely well. You know, it's been a progression. I mean, obviously we're an Infinity store, so our new car volume is not something that we can count on. So a couple of years ago, we really made a concentrated effort towards getting really, really good at used cars, and you guys have been instrumental in that. I mean, you see me comment in on some of your posts and that kind of stuff, and I'm serious as a heart attack. You guys are the best partner a person can have for their used car operations.
I love that.
Today, I really, truly, because you guys are that. You're a partner for sure. But yes, things are going well. What I really like is that we're starting to go ahead and do more volume with less cars.
Yeah.
And, so we always had this mentality for the longest time. If I wanted to sell 60, I had to have 80. If I wanted to sell 80, I had to have 100.
Yeah.
And now, we're on track this month to do, I think if I looked in this morning, we've got 27 pre-owned, about 27 or 28 off-brand, out. And just kind of what we're tracking coming into January when everybody else is kind of like, especially in the luxury side, just kind of going, I can't count on my new to stabilize what I need. So I'm trying to, including my service department, including my parts department, that kind of stuff. This touches every aspect of my store.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, we have look like 31 in 2 weeks. So selling 60, 62 with 59 in stock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we can go back, and that's the other thing I think our team. I just tell my team we need to do. I had Frank Knox in here yesterday, and he was just talking about look at historically too, and I'm like, it's tax season coming around the corner, so we can go back because you guys, I think, let's go back. You can go back last year and to see how tax season panned out for you. How much your inventory, what was your sale rate? And what happened was it looks like March 21st, you kind of peaked at that 40. Well, no, we have, I could zoom in right there, 46% sale rate. So you're almost selling 100% your inventory on March 22nd. But by April 6th, it dropped down to 17% sale rate, 30. So
we shot it up too fast. Instead of looking and kind of dialing in and being more strategic about it.
So definitely don't want to do that next year because it does. And you'll start. Last year, the shopper index peaked around February 18th, and so mid-February shoppers engage, and then it just dropped off until March, to the end of March. So, and then by April, if you don't have that tightened up, you're holding the bag, and that's kind of where you're ended up. I don't think the inventory level, because what happens is you get a good tax season, the inventory's flowing, so then you go replace and buy, and then the other part that screws you up is market day supply. You start stepping up on it on these cars because they have a low day supply as the market's starting to move faster.
And the rental companies don't.
Yeah, in March, April, you're stepping up and buying more cars because of what you just sold. And you think they have low day supply because things are moving fast, but it's just really looking back to March. It's a lagging indicator, so it's looking back to February. It's not looking forward because coming April, things are slowing down, and now you're stuck with cars you overpaid that are not moving as fast. Yeah, so we're going to be in that window of time in the next week or two, and your inventories, come down. What we were at, let's go back here. November, you had 74 units. Now you're down to 59 or 60.
And our sales pace is accelerated.
Yeah. So you plan on just keeping it there then?
I challenged the team with 30 more retail units this year. I challenged Jeremy, hey, help us get 30 more retail units this year. This year, our goal is to do 1,200 total retail units.
Okay.
And so 100 a month is the goal. I told the team, I said, last year we averaged 72. So I said, guys, that's 28 more units. I don't expect us to do it in January, right? Like, let's do it slow, up and to the right, progressive. Let's end the year where 110, 115 retail units is where we're at. And then we'll readjust our goals from there and just progressively continue to grow. And if we can do it faster, that's fine. I just don't want to do it faster where we go, let's load the boat. We're just going to sell more. You know, one thing we have not done a great job of is our 2-day contact gap. And I've jumped in as the general manager on a daily basis now, really working with our team to go ahead and drive that 2-day contact gap. Like, guys, hop in. And something that I talked with our team about, we partnered with another company called 4 Eyes.
Yeah.
And what they do, obviously, is they take a look at website traffic and then communicate that back to our sales team in the morning through a coffee report. Similar to you guys sending us a health report of our inventory on a daily basis. We can see what we got. We can see how many leads were contacted yesterday, what we have active, what we have for switches. And so I'm using these things in combination with our sales team. So I'm sending them their active leads and their switch leads every morning.
Oh.
And I'm sending them, and actually Jeremy's sending them to me now. Because I thought about something, and I kind of communicated to Chris. I said, Chris, what if on a daily basis, you guys send me and our management team a health report? What if the sales associates every day got their leads and switches? Maybe we start to add a couple other things into that. It's an email that goes out to them, right? It just kind of calls them to attention, you know, because I told the team, I said, you know, the thing about a daily work plan is, joke around with them. I say, how many days a week are you supposed to work? It's a daily work plan, right? Yeah. But they got away from those basics and trying to retrain them, you know, on, hey, it's a discipline, you know. Success doesn't come from hard work. It comes in from putting in hard work every day. Like the rent's due every single day, right? You can't just be like, oh man, I worked hard for a couple hours today, boss. Okay, that's great. I can be transparent for you. If you'll do that and string it together for a long period of time, you know. One of my favorite motivational speakers, Zig Ziglar, said back in the day, he said, anybody can get motivated for a day, an afternoon, a week. Some people get motivated for a month, but get them motivated for a lifetime and see what happens, you know. Yeah. And so daily I've been kind of calling their attention now to, hey, let's get real serious and intentional about this. And what's nice about those two products together is with your active leads that are still in stock, and then giving us availability to see our switches, right? Yeah. So active lead in stock, I told our sales associates, I'm like, hey, call them up. Hey, Jason, Shannon, here in Infinity and Jackson, just calling to touch base with you. What'd you and your bride, do you have any more thoughts on that car? It's still here, and I want to let you know we dropped the price on it, right? Yeah. And I wanted you to know before somebody else picks it up. Jason goes, I don't know. It's probably, as a salesperson, I realize it's probably not the one he needs. Yeah. But now I've got visibility for us to our whole group's worth of switches. And I tell our salespeople all the time, I'm like, guys, understand. The problem in our business is we think of customers as like this is the car they want. And then if they don't have that, we're like, all deflated. Oh my goodness. So we need to think about it like a realtor. A realtor goes in, puts out a house, and all they're looking for is this engagement back and forth that says, I'm raising my hand, I'm going to buy a house. To our sales team, I'm like, Joe Verdi's been preaching for years that 78% of the people you come in contact with buy a car very soon. Why do we only get 20% of them? Because we give up on them after we sell the car that we thought that was one they had to have.
I always say work the driveway, not the lead.
No doubt.
Because my wife was searching for a car, and literally within I think it was an 8-month period, but let's just say a 12-month period, I was involved with 4 vehicle transactions. My wife's lease was up. We bought a used car. My daughter's lease was up. We ended up just buying her lease. My 16-year-old needed a car at that point in time. So we did that. And then I bought a new truck, all in less than a 12-month period. And you're talking,
how many people facilitated that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, that's all different dealers because nobody
ever followed up or anything. They just kind of took your order.
Well, and the other thing was, this was a tricky situation. My wife's lease was up. It was a Volvo. You know how they handled these lease returns. They won't
forcing you to go through the OEM.
Yeah, and so she get a letter saying her lease is up in June. Got a letter in January. Hey, 6 months away, you can turn your lease in early. So we went to the Volvo store, but we were wanting a used 35 to 50 grand Highline SUV, like a Porsche Macan, Cayenne, Jaguar, F-Pace or whatever, BMW, Mercedes. We're looking at all those. And so she really didn't know what she wanted. And she went to a Porsche dealer and had a female sales rep. And my wife calls me from there, and she's like, this girl's getting mad at me. I'm like, she's being really rude. I'm like, why? What's going on? She's like, I don't know. I'm just asking the test. She's like, I drove this. I want to test drive this. I'm like, she thinks you can't buy for another 6 months, babe. Well, first we went to the Volvo store, and I tried to trade the Volvo in on a Porsche Macan. Used. They wouldn't let me. It had to be a certified Volvo or a new Volvo. So we left, and I'm like, okay. I said, that makes no sense. Can you just buy it?
Yes.
Instead of trading it?
And
no,
you
I
can.
can't do that.
Yeah.
They said they couldn't do that either.
Oh my goodness.
Because it has to go through Volvo's. They have to lease return, then they get an opportunity to buy it, but they can't just buy it from me. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. So anyways, I mean, I did go to this Porsche store, and I said, well, babe, I go, you're kind of like Six Flags season pass. You're riding all the rides. She don't think you can buy anything for 6 months. Well, sure enough, come 2-3 weeks later in February, that girl never followed up with. February, we went to this BMW store. They had this nice X4 certified. It was, I think, $9 grand cheaper than they had it in November because prices were dropping. Interest rates were threatening to go back up. So I said, let's just go ahead and buy it. And we only have March, April, and May so I had 2 car payments.
Yeah.
So no one thought we could buy.
Right.
But we have this Volvo that we're leasing, bought a certified BMW X4, had that in my driveway, but nobody followed up thinking we couldn't drive. In the meantime, I had 3 other transactions
All tied to this one.
all tied to the driveway.
Yeah.
You know. So to your point, yeah, you don't know what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
You don't know what, even if they bought something, work the driveway because the husband might need something or the daughter might need something.
I mean, if I'm thinking about this, if you had one person that would have taken control of the entire situation and said, and looked at you as the customer that you were. I mean, I think about it again, realtor perspective. That realtor would have sold you 4 houses happily, figured out how to go ahead and make that happen. And you probably would have stuck with one trained professional assassin sales associate that said, hey, I'm going to handle all of this for you. You'd appreciate it. It's not like you had the time to do it. Somebody that actually catered to your bride's needs. And I mean, in my mind, if there's sales associates out here listening to what we're talking about right now, we have got to rethink the whole way that we're doing stuff. You know, with the daily work plan that you guys provide that shows, hey, these are my active leads and these are my switches. What I've talked to our teams about is, hey, let's get real smart on the technology. Right? If we go to the website nowadays, I can pull up a VDP and I got one right now that tracks the activity of the client. So as I'm talking to Jason and we get to talking about the car that he was looking at, and I realize it's not really what he wanted. And then we get to talking about, well, Jason, I've been looking through our inventory and there's 4 or 5 others that I saw that I really think that you and your bride would probably be interested in. First, foremost, still go for the appointment, right?
Yeah.
Hey, first thing, what's your bride's schedule look like this afternoon? I'm pretty busy, and I run a business and that kind of stuff. My bride's out and about, and that maybe she can or something like that, right? Can I bring it to you, right? Next level. Just you know, how can I get that engagement there? But when I can't get that, I told the team, I said, hey, let's grab each one of the VDPs and ask their permission. Just say, Jason, as soon as I hang up, it's okay with you, I'm going to send you and your bride every car that I kind of thought that you might be interested in. Right? So now we send all those out via text, right? 4 Eyes knows if they looked at it. Now you might look at it one time, but what if out of the 5 cars I sent you, what if you looked at one 4 or 5 times, your bride looked at one 5 or 6 times? Now I've got some really good data that I'm driving as a sales consultant back to myself the next day, because when I call back up the next day, hey, Jason, just calling to check in with you. Did you get those cars? I'm not going to say, hey, I saw you looked at one 5 times and your bride looked at one 7. You know, that's scary.
Yeah.
But I am going to go ahead and use that to go ahead and, in my mind, if you looked at one 5 times, your bride looked at one 6 times, you guys are looking at it back and forth. What I'm trying to do as a sales consultant is go ahead and justify a decision that you've already made.
Yeah.
Make you comfortable with the whole situation. And like you said, My goodness, you dealt with 4 different people, all this,
Yeah.
hours of your time destroyed.
3 of those 4 were used cars, so anybody could have sold us anything. I bought a new. I had the F350. I wanted to buy a new 250, so I had to go to a Ford store for that. But that lady at the Porsche store, and that's why I brought up the Porsche store. You would think a high-end store, they'd be more professional and
Right.
do all. No. Matter of fact, a side story, because we're going into the playoffs. Chiefs are playing tomorrow, and that I'm in Kansas City. So we were literally, she was on the chair, I was on the couch having our morning coffee. We're looking at cars and we're sending each other, hey, look at this one. Hey, look at this one. And it's all of it. So an Audi store had a Porsche Cayenne that we wanted to look at. The game was starting it was a playoff game for the Chiefs starting at 3:00. It was about 11. And we already had food catered to come in. I had to go pick up. We were having people over the house, so we had to be home and by 3. And so it's 11 o'clock. I'm like, oh yeah, you could get ready. We can be there by 12:30. We'll drive it and then see if we like it, and we'll be home. No, we got time. I called the dealership. One, I got answered, then I got transferred, and then I got transferred again. But anyways, they go, well, how soon can you be here? I'm like, pretty soon. They go, well, because the Chiefs game on and we're going to be closing early, so I don't know if you can make it. Great, but maybe Monday instead, because it was a Saturday. How about if you want to come in on Monday, we can definitely help you out. And I'm like, so can we not?
Can't buy a car today.
Well, yeah. And I'm like, all right, well, thank you. And I got off the phone. I like,
I'm puzzled.
did you just hear this?
Yes.
Puzzled. Yeah, I'm trying to buy a $40,000 whatever. But I mean, they're like, I go. Like I said, I didn't want to go there and waste this time. I had to be home by 3:00. I want to watch a game too. I got food to pick up. I'm gonna come in, test drive it. We like
it's 11.
I'll
How
give
long
you a
should it
deposit.
take?
We'll leave, but no.
We're kind of nervous.
I'm like, okay, I guess. And this was an Audi store, and I was like, wow, everybody.
I
Doesn't matter
mean,
what it is.
at the end of the day, we got to rethink our operations. Me too. Like totally, we've got to look in and understand that there's a lot of people still suffering from a COVID hangover.
Yeah.
It's just the facts,
Yeah.
And if we don't rethink the way that we're interacting with people, I mean, no, we're building our own case for people to go to dealer direct or to OEM direct.
So let's talk about those switches too. And a lot of things, people, and I don't know if your team brought this up, but it's like, oh, they're not going to switch from this car to that car. What we tend to pull up is like right now you have 55 leads that have trade-ins.
Right.
So a couple things. Chris did this the other, and I thought it was funny. He's like, you don't think people will switch from one thing to another? This guy right here is trading in a Ford Expedition onto a Armada. This dealer, this person is doing a Dodge Challenger to a Cherokee, a Malibu to an Expedition. You don't think you can switch them from a F-150 to a Ram? I mean, you're talking
lifestyles change.
Yeah, I mean,
at one time somebody needs a large SUV, and they go, you know what? My kids, I'm not toting anybody around anymore.
Yeah,
right.
That's what we did. We downsized it. She had a third row, and now she don't need that because the other kids are out, and we got a little bit.
I'm starting to rethink the has trades thing too, because the way I'm thinking about the has trades thing is, David Spisak spends some good time with our group and talking with our group about acquisition and trying to acquire cars the right way.
Yeah.
And the big thing I'm thinking about on that has trades thing is that's a great opportunity for our management team to start doing some follow-up too on the side of, hey, Jason, can we just buy that from you?
Yeah, that's the whole reason why we put that in there.
Yeah.
So you have 300 leads total, and only, 55 is pretty good out of 300.
Sure.
Because usually we only see about 10 to 15% of leads having trades. So 55 into 300 is what?
18, almost 20%. Yeah.
I want to track that number and increase it. And then the other thing I'm going to be working toward is recognizing what these are. So if a Honda Pilot, right, is an SUV, a compact SUV or intermediate SUV or large pickup truck, that way in our stocking tool, we say, hey, you need more large pickup trucks. You got 10 people trying to trade in a large pickup truck. Mm-hmm. But the other part was this is, if we got a lead, it's 15 days old, we've been calling every day and maybe not communicating. Well, how about we call today and say, hey, I know I've been bugging you about the Armada, but I noticed you're trading something in. I really need a nice vehicle. Can I have a conversation about that? So just another way to have a different conversation.
100%.
But the thing is, a lot of dealers don't have trade information, even though at least half these deals are going to have trades.
Right.
At least half of them. And if not a trade, that they have probably a vehicle they're going to sell themselves or give to their nephew or something, right? Well, I'm giving it to my nephew. Well, come on in. We can do the paperwork. Even if you sell it yourself, come in. We can help you. Anyways, I think we're afraid to bring up trade-ins because we're afraid we'll lose the appointment.
Oh yeah,
But
no doubt.
They're probably on CarMax or Carvana getting a number anyways.
Which kind of highlights.
And then they go sell it to them before they show up, and you didn't even talk to them about it.
Kind of highlights almost where we need to kind of separate that, though, in my mind.
Yep.
Like the sales associate, because they're always defaulting back to, let me get the appointment, let me sell the car, let me get the appointment.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we look at acquisition, a lot of times we go, okay, I'm going to rotate out my sales team in the service drive, buy cars. They feel like you put them on, you know, in timeout or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm going to hang out here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right. But if you flip the idea around and have somebody completely different, that's their mindset.
Yeah.
You know, that's something.
SpaceX big on that too, like making that part of their board.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. When they buy one, it's
Black checks are the sold
too.
and red checks are the
100%.
bought, you know, and it's part of their, you know, bonus structure and pay and everything else. So yeah.
And this is going to be so instrumental in where we've gone, where we've been, and where we're going. Mm-hmm. Like these changes and tweaks, you know, there's so much opportunity. You know, I talk to people a lot of time, and I feel like they have this fixed mindset of we're only going to sell what we're going to sell. And I said, that's not true. We have a math problem to go ahead and solve at the end of the day, a lot of times, a follow-up problem with our teams, different things like that. But if the facts were we were only going to sell what we were going to sell, I said, go ahead and take all your inventory today and just slash it half price. Now, it'll be your last month in the business. You'll be done.
Yeah.
But I assure you, you'll sell out. And so it's not the fact that the pie's only so big. It's the fact that we're not looking at it strategically and, you know, guiding ourselves through it.
Let's see. So one of the cheats that I do, you're at 53% rate. I'm going to look at franchise,
Let's see what we're
50
doing.
and non. Pretty even.
But, right, yeah.
I mean, you are selling your own stuff a little bit slower. Some Infinity, I mean, you justify it, but look at trades. 80% of purchases are at going to be what, 40, 43. Yeah.
And then if
so
you look
that's
at
where I would be focusing on your inventory.
You know, I think a big key too is we're in Jackson, Mississippi. So we stock our brand, and our goal is to put as many, you know, last year we put 309 certified units in operation. And the goal there is to put units in operation for my service department, right? Like that's the goal. The guys were number 10 in the nation in certified. And they've really been able to utilize your tool to get strategic and surgical on it. And it's really easy with our brand to own our market. Like, so a lot of Infinity dealers out there and that kind of stuff, this is the thing that they don't understand. You know, I hear a lot of them sitting in 20 groups, different things, and they're so concerned about the fact that we don't have any search intent. I'm like, okay, but let's look at the glass half full aspect of that. If we don't have any search intent, it's cheap to own it.
Right, yeah.
So like now when a customer actually does search your brand, you should own every piece of that page.
Yeah.
VLAs, a little targeted ad in there for certified, whatever it is. The OEM's going to pick up some stuff. Figure out how to buy your different things through deep side of things. Because when there's no search intent, nobody wants it.
You can buy it.
You could buy it for a bargain.
That we didn't do that. We could look at your certified too, and you're at a 47% sale rate on certified.
And it's going to be a little slower because that's what I was going to say, because our cost of ownership on those is a little higher. You know, we've got QX60, QX. It's about I'm talking 28, 29, 28 grand. Our sales start to go ahead and climb. Now, the certified side, don't get me wrong, it is a big portion of our business, and our OEM does back it very well.
Yeah.
They do a good job with it. So then it becomes our job to figure out how to maximize that market.
So yeah, I mean, even here you got this is purchases. 70% is fresh, 0 to 30. You're selling 63% fresh. That's great. Yeah, a little slowdown in 16 to 30 on purchases. So yeah, by doing that, we're just isolating those purchases.
Touch a bleed over, but I think we can handle all of that. You know, a couple bucket busters there, but I think we can handle all that as we go ahead and really get strategic on our follow-up.
Yeah, but I'm just real quick noticing no leads, no switches, no leads, no switches, just on those two. That's tough. Now this one might have a group switch. But
7
being a
group
Tundra,
switches. Yeah.
that'll be tough because it'll be hard to maybe take an F-150 or Silverado buyer under the Tundra.
Sure.
But it's worth a shot.
Oh, yeah. It's worth a phone call.
Because then what I would do as a salesperson trying to do that, going, man, I can't get a Silverado buyer to go to a Tundra maybe.
You never asked.
Go look at reviews and comparisons. Like I back in the day, and I think if they're still around, I had a Banistar. It was a software. And what it allowed me to do is take my Tundra and compare it to a Ram, and it give me all the benefits.
Sure.
It didn't give negatives. It was just only the think they're still around, but either way, go look at reviews and everything. So I talked to the Silverado. Oh no, I wouldn't take the Tundra. That's not a truck. Hold on a second. Did you know it's the number one? Did you know it's I think the Tundra is the built more in the United States than an F-150.
You probably.
It's all Texas. Yeah. It's
15 days on this one. So the question then at that point becomes, how soon did I have that particular one lot ready? Which I hope it was fairly quick, or I say retail ready.
Yeah.
Not necessarily lot ready, but virtually.
And you're aggressively there. I mean, you've sold 2 Tundras at 98%. You're at 94%.
Sure.
So I don't think it's a pricing problem.
And we're getting VDPs on that car. So for the 16 days that it's been in, the first few.
5.6 on cars.com.
1.9 Auto Trader, and my market's a little bit slower on Auto Trader, so I understand I pick up stuff from outside of my area.
Yeah.
You kind of got to figure out which one's isolated to your area. Chris said something yesterday on your guys' he did a little bit of a broadcast, but he talked about dealers looking at your software for advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting Jeremy, and he said, buddy, card a lot of VDPs on them. And figure out.
Oh, yeah. Because if the market dropped too, if there's 20% less shoppers, well, you're going to have 20% less VDPs.
Right.
I mean, not conversion, but yeah.
And now I look a lot at the VDPs per car. Am I generating a lead? To try to dial in, okay, if I'm getting a lot of VDPs and I'm not generating a lead, then guess what? I've got a math problem to solve.
Yeah.
Chances are good my price isn't right, because if it gets right, we'll get a lead.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting the looks.
Well, that's the thing. This thing's converting, but you don't have any leads. That's why I was going to go through the pictures and
it might be cloth,
yeah.
Maybe.
It's not a bench seat, so you're good. It's clean.
Yeah.
I was just seeing if there's any.
The pictures are real. We did this dealer-made photo booth about 2.5 years ago when we started getting really serious about cars, and the picture quality is so excellent. I remember after we first got it, our sales team was having to kind of make some conversations where the customer would call in and Jason would say, "Can I get some real photos on the car?" I said, "Well, sir, they're real."
Wow.
But just kind of
I need the leaf blower.
Right.
Oh, that's good. I don't think it's a picture issue. Other than maybe, like you said, maybe it's equipment. Maybe it's because it's cloth. Maybe they don't have a roof.
Sure.
Open a roof, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it's
also,
super low miles. So here's a trick. We got a 2024 vehicle with 6,000 miles.
You're dealing with new. You got to go see what's going on with new.
Fighting new, right?
Yeah.
So
What's
even
the
though you
rebate
go, hey, I
incentives?
got this priced in the market, do you really know?
Yeah,
Did the
price of
manufacturer
what?
just dump?
That's a good point. I had a Ford dealer. He had an Explorer, the same situation. He was at 93% or something pretty aggressive for the age. And I said, yeah, but you're 93 of what? You're 93% of what they're asking for. But I go, what can you buy a new one from? So we pulled up the window sticker, and he goes, and at that time, which is just a month or so ago, it was 8,000 you can get off of a new one based on holdback and everything else.
And what is their subvented rate?
And so I'm
now
like,
it all
dude,
translates to payment.
You're $500 higher than what I can get a new one for. I'm like,
and
you can't be at 93%. You might need to be 85%.
Right.
Because 93% of what is this? Every other dealer don't recognize. So yeah, who knows what they can buy. That's the other thing. I dig into a new one.
And I'm on a car that in my market, I already told you my sweet spot's $29,000. That's a $45,000 car.
Yeah, it's 42.
That's one that we acquired. Question is, it's one you tread with caution.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, I was doing the dealer yesterday, and he had a Honda something, but it was a late model Honda. And I'm like, I think it was a Accord or something. I'm like, I can lease one of those for $350 a month. This, it's 22 grand. I said, I'm $400 or $500 a month.
Right.
I said, you're going to have because I did that. My 22-year-old that we bought our lease out, I leased her a new Honda HRV. Instead of the CRV, a little smaller. $350 a month because I had paid off cars for my kids. I had my son drove a Jeep Cherokee paid off, but I spent $3,000 in service bill while he was away at college.
Sure.
He's in Arkansas and he's taking to the shop, and this guy's telling me, it's this. I'm like, I'm hoping he's right, and I guess I'll pay $1,800 here, and I'm like, $3,000 in a year. I'm like, that's $300 a month. I'd rather just buy you a new, I'll lease you a Honda, $350 a month. You're under warranty the whole time. I don't need to worry about you. Go.
Here's
And then
my
when
total
it's
cost of
done,
ownership.
we'll buy it.
Right.
You'll co-sign, and it's your car from here, and you own it. All right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but what can I lease one of these for? Because you mess with Toyotas and Hondas, you might be able to lease one of these for $500, and they got to pay $700 to buy
There's no
this,
doubt. And you're competing with discounts. You're competing with subvented rates, and that's a dangerous market. In my mind, that's a car that we watch for about 21 days and really harshly, and maybe we buy it and sell it in the same market.
Yeah.
And we just cut bait if we absolutely have to.
So yeah, it's tricky. Let's see other leads. This Sierra, another truck.
Sure. And
you're at
trucks are expensive. Got a 24. I've got only 10,000 miles on it. We are in a group that has a Chevy dealership, and so that helps a little bit because we have a group website, we have our own website, we have customers coming in, on trucks and that kind of stuff. So
it's weird you don't have any group switches, but it is a $52,000 truck, so that's a high dollar truck.
And it's 19 days old.
If it was under $50,000, you'd probably have some group switches.
Right. Some heavy metal.
You can go to the Chevy store and see if they happen to have any. Tacoma. Oh wait, one lead, no switch. Sierra truck, 8 in the group though. And that one's $37,000. That's where
Sweet spot when you come to a truck.
So no, I'm glad you guys are working those switch leads, and that's I think important. We found about a 3% closing. I don't know if you guys had any better luck than that
on switch leads. Yeah.
I think though, if you really make it part of the total process, like you said from the beginning, I think what you're talking about with the lead management, even though they're on a car in stock, also open the door. By the way, because that was my second email. When I got a lead, I did the auto response, but my second email within 5 minutes went out. It was a question one. Hey, are you open to other makes and models? Are you open to some of the vehicles in this price point?
Here's a few you might
Are you looking to buy now, or do you have a trade? Click here for an appraisal. I introduced all that within 5 minutes of that. And so I introduced other vehicles. So I don't know. Did your team just call? Yeah, that car's in stock. When can you be here? Okay, great. We'll see you at 2:00 and end the conversations. Versus, hey, real quick too, just in case this car sells between now and then, are you open to other makes and models so I can make sure I can have those cars pulled up too? Right. Or even, hey, can I show and open that door then? Mm-hmm. That way, if it's a switch lead 2 weeks from now, it's always been part of the car. Yeah, you know what? That car did sell fast, but remember, I got 2 other trucks and I got one came in today. How about those? And so if you always had that as part of your conversation, I think it opens the door a little bit better.
And I think, salespeople sometimes get caught up in the angst of, I want to wear this person out. You would have given the shirt off your back for somebody to wear you out. They just didn't even acknowledge you. I'd rather have a customer say, dial it back a little bit than,
Yeah, people used to look at my follow-up like, oh, that's way too much. I'm like, I've never had a customer tell me. I had one person that got mad at me because I was calling too much. Out of thousands.
Yeah, out of thousands.
10 years.
Unfortunately, that's the one we generally remember, right?
Yeah.
Scarred us.
Yeah, I remember it's a female. I forgot what she was mad about.
Well, let me ask you this. Looking at our stuff as we head into this year, so we know we need to do another 28 retail cars. We know that we're going to get really dialed into this, 2-day follow-up gap. We're going to send out these VDPs directly from our website, that interaction where I'm intentionally trying to re-engage the customer with our store and with our sales associate, right? I mean, knowing those things, what are the anything that you see that would be maybe the lowest hanging fruit? What do we dial in on to go ahead and maybe accelerate that above and beyond what we're doing already?
I would like to dig deeper in your lead count, which I don't know if I had from last year. We might be able to. But first, let's address the inventory stuff. So you want to get to 100 units.
Right.
I would probably wait until April or May to hit that goal.
That's the thought.
Yeah, because
told the team June or before is kind of.
Yeah, and I'm thinking April, May, probably more May, because April, there's still that tax season hangover. People think there's that buyers are there, day supply still low, paying up. But by May, things have slowed down, and dealers might be dumping what they bought in February, March that didn't sell. So you'll be able to buy better in May and start slowly ramping that up.
Okay.
And going from 60, 70 units in stock to, I'd just say I'd be adding 10 units every couple of weeks to see how everybody handles it, between turnaround time, service, and getting it online, all that, make sure none of that gets thrown off. We handle 10 good, we throw another 10 into the mix. But here's the other thing. What was it? So acquisition, you're going to turn inventory faster like you are now. So you're going to, start buying, and instead of buying 20 this week, you buy 30 because you had a big, and now you're throwing 30 into turnaround time can only handle 20. It's going to slow you down because you're not staffed for that. But it'll fade away by April or May. But you also got to think about the impact on the
fixed operation side.
Internet side.
Yes.
So you're going to go from handling 300 leads,
right,
and having 3 people, let's say, to then 400 leads.
Yep.
With
and
the
your
same
advertising
amount of
dollar
people.
spend starts to get stretched a little bit.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden your team that's used to handling 300 leads is now handling 400 leads, and they start just dealing with the low-hanging fruit and not follow up with the 14 and 20. And then by April, when things slow down, they're starting to reach out to this 40-day lead that they didn't follow up with for 2 weeks because they're busy selling. So I would be watching that, and we got to figure out, and that's where I think this comes into play, because if we could just isolate the in-stock leads and say, hey, don't worry about the 500 leads right now, get the 120 where it's in stock. Do that first. Do the make model switches. And at least if we're doing that, I think instead of just weeding through 500 leads, 3-day calls, 7-day emails, and just doing that, I think by narrowing down just what to focus on to keep that train moving, the staffing issue becomes less. But I realized that a while back. I'm like, damn, what we do in used cars and overbuy and shove in, and next thing you know, the season, and we throw it
costs a lot of other things.
Yeah, I didn't even realize we do the same thing on the internet side, where we go from 300 leads to 500, and we're not staffed, and then we go hire people, and then the leads drop back off, and we're like, well, shit, do we need to let somebody go? What's happening? And then it's just.
And we've known this for years. Dealers get this. We've had hard turn things back in the day and different things like that, where finally we cut the car to the right place, and over the weekend you get 20 leads on that car and the phone's blowing up. It's still there. You hit the right price. Right? And that's exactly what you're talking about. What caused all that new stuff comes in, drives all those new leads. And that's I thought about that too when I added 4Eyes, because they do that. They do re-engagement emails. We have price drops and that kind of stuff from us to the customer, and they keep them in the pipe and continue to re-engage them for a period of 90 days unless they don't re-engage with us after that 90 days and they drop off. But every time they re-engage, it continues to do that, and that's not the answer. It's just for me looking at it as a GM side of things of how do I? It's a security blanket. That's what it is. Really, our team needs to do it. But if they don't, or if some of them don't, there's at least something in there where they just kind of fall off the wayside.
So the only other thing I'd point out, you mentioned that $25,000 price point, and things start moving. Your average investment's cruising on up.
And that's these expensive trucks and that kind of stuff.
And if you really look, so that first bucket is higher than what your current average investment, but that green line is actually what your average at retail price is when you sell. This, and the red line's your cost.
Day supply, dollar supply, right?
So you're selling $34,000 retail price cars. You're owning first bucket.
Cars.
Yeah. So
We've driven that way up.
yeah, yep. So I wouldn't. That's where I would go because if you want to try, and I'm not saying you've already did the June thing and everything, and so you've already. But a lot of dealers, I'm going to get the 100 units, and they just start buying, and then next thing you know, this is going up.
Oh yeah.
Turnaround time got thrown off.
I don't know why their sales pace slowed, and it's because we're buying more expensive vehicles and we're transacting on them.
Last dealer I had that happened. They were doing like 70 cars, and they were outselling it by every time he hit that 50% mark was when he was at 70. Then he got it up to 130. And that sale rate dropped down into the 30s
because we got real excited about expensive stuff. And couldn't do anything.
And then as soon as he brought that inventory level back down, his 2-week sale rate goes back up. So it's finding that 5 minutes. So I would drive that down and let's go see what last year looked like. Yeah, see what happened February. Man, by March, it's up there. And so you've already started this, or what you did last year. You're already a month early. You're a month ahead of it. So. And that probably caused a lot of that slowdown in that area too, going into April. So that's why I say April, May, where that smoke settles and we're just back to a normal seasonal year. Because tax season's been hit or miss for the last 4 or 5 years. It's been so soft. Last year was soft. People might be excited about the new administration, maybe better taxes, but this tax season is going to be last administration tax stuff. So.
Well, and regardless of how excited people are, I mean, when you look at our area, we're still Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
We're, we have a lower average income. We have a lower expense structure. People are still stretched. Yeah. I mean, the budget and the market are kind of what the market is, for sure. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'd say probably more May, April, mid-April, end of April, and going into May, you probably can start acquiring and start building that back up, testing it out. In the meantime, the tax season is going to cause you to spend, or spend inventory is going to keep moving fast. You're going to be scrambling to buy and keep up with it. Your staff's going to get a lot of leads that they might not follow up with, so make sure the holes are being filled because they're going to get busy. And it's not so much that you got so much lead. It's just the leads per rep. It's just going to go out of line for 30, 40 days. And then, yeah, drive down this average investment.
Perfect.
Keep that going. Perfect. Other than that, I appreciate your time and the restaurant reference.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. That'll be good.
One thing I love is good food.
Not need to stretch.
Right?
I just realized I was supposed to be at cars.com at 10 this morning. I forgot about that. I got to be over there at 1. I got to remember to do that. Hey Siri, set an alarm for 12:55.
Not the only one.
Yeah.
Goes off.
What you have to say is a Siri set an alarm for 12:45 to be at cars.com.
There we go. We're unmuted.
There you go. Progress.
How we doing, Ed? So we got microphones here. These are like just for these speakers, but I don't think you're going to worry about that. This one should be picking up the Facebook Live up until the parade starts coming through. I've had that twice. We're sitting here talking. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
Breaks everything
It
up.
throws everything off.
I was over talking with someone at the GM booth, and same thing.
Yeah.
You can't hear anybody.
No, it's cool, but it gets aggravating when you're trying to do stuff like this.
Yep.
I think so. I'm unmuted over there. I think it's running. It says live and unmuted.
Yes, it is.
So we are ready to
Live is
roll.
unmuted. So quickly, and for those listening on social media right now, as we're streaming live here from NADA here in NOLA, Jason, I wanted Ed to be able to spend some time with you and really communicate to the world, not necessarily 100% from the view of one of our dealer partners, but from the view of his vantage point as the operator and the CEO of the company, with not necessarily being the end user, but how we as a company are really unpacking things for his team to be better operators and make his job easier, hopefully. And I'm going to make your job easier for you. But, where that partnership comes in and things of that nature. So if we could kind of let the world know that, that'd be fantastic.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Ed.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So what was it? Was it 2 or 3 years ago? No, I know, because I just remember sitting. We were both waiting for our flights or go to the airport. I think was it business?
It's an
Bourbon?
Autovate.
Yeah.
Autovate.
Yeah.
No, originally Autovate.
Oh, was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A few times BBC, but originally
Yeah,
Autovate.
you had no clue who I was at that point. So.
Yeah.
No, I just smoothed my way in. We sat, I don't know if we were having drinks or whatever, just waiting. I think wasn't it? We were
I
waiting.
think we was having a drink.
Yeah, waiting for go to the airport or something. It was at the end of the event, right? That's what it was. Autopay. Wow.
Yeah,
So
the little
probably
camels
3.
coming around with the
It might have been 4 years because we probably had after that known each other. Hey, how you doing? For about a year before we got you as a client.
Yep.
I appreciate that. You guys are good operators. One of our best.
It takes good partnerships for that to take place. And yes, we're a large store. In order for a large store to work, we have to be able to use technology and other resources to help us tie all those things together.
Well, one of the first things I always go to is looking at dealers' volume. I think that's the most important. And what's funny is we want dealers to try to turn half their inventory in 2 weeks, so they're selling 100% of it in 4 weeks. Your guys' goal is 70% in 2 weeks. So you want to do 140% of your inventory, and that's just awesome. And you guys do it. That's what drives our traffic. I mean, if you're not rotating inventory, you're not creating new leads. If you're not creating new leads, you're not driving new traffic. So. Yeah. So the people going to want to know, because we're looking at used. We do have new car data in here. We got 172 used. You're selling 234, 235 off of that. How much new do you guys have, and what do you sell off of that?
So new on the Ford and Lincoln side, we stock about 1,100 vehicles total new. On the Ford side, we're down to about 72 days supply, 73 days supply. On the Lincoln side, we're a little heavy. We're 125, 130 days in Lincoln for various different reasons. We've got an outgoing model. We don't have a couple months where we don't have some coming in. So it's planned somewhat, but still, who wants to carry that kind of inventory? And and this with what you guys do for us. I mean, our guys, there's so many distractions in this business, and they get focused on a couple of things, and they get distracted from some other things they should be looking at. And that's where you guys come into play, and you pull that focus back into place. So, hey, here's what we're missing, guys. Great job here, but
not that you're not being the end user. We try to simplify that even down to just 3 or 4 tabs, guys. Do a lot walk. Like you do a 15-minute, 20-minute lot walk in the morning. Take 15 minutes, go no leads, no switches. No leads in 7 days. Just hit that real quick, and your top 5 issues like Acuras and small pickup trucks. Just do that, because that was the hard part. I've worked for the auto for a long time. I did CRM lead management for 10 years, and I'm like, it's hard just to come in and go, okay, what's my game plan? What do I got to do? Like you said, because you're
pulled in all different
direction, and it's like, where can I go home with a clear conscience? As busy as I was, I got at least what I needed to get done. So we appreciate. That's what stores like you, all the feedback that you guys, hey, if you could do this or you could do that. One of the things that I wanted to do, this is why I'd like your feedback. This is a little stretch, but I'm looking back 2 weeks of what you guys are selling in each age bucket, segment, trucks. Like, so right now, you have 61 units, 16 to 30. You're on pace. You sold 29 in 2 weeks. That puts you on pace to sell 58. So you're 3 units off pace. Okay. So I'm looking back and guesstimating what the future is going to look like. What I want to do is be able to allow you on this chart, click a button, and show you what 2 weeks is going to look like. If you don't do anything, those 3 units will end up here in that line. I want to show you the future based on the situation you guys are in now. I think to maybe give that sense of urgency to, like you said, we're distracted, but oh crap, this is what 2 weeks is going to look like.
Well, what you guys do is you give us a plan, and if you don't have a plan coming into the day, you react to whatever's in front of you. And the next thing you know, you went home and you hadn't accomplished anything that you needed to accomplish. Yeah. And so I talk to my guys, have the 10 things that you want to address every single day. And when you have sources that you can go to, and they give you 5 of those, and you chase those 5 down, you've already made the day impactful.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't want them to do. I don't want them to waste the day because they didn't have any focus. They just came in and reacted to everything. Because if you just come in and sit at the desk, people are going to show up and give and dump things on you, whether it's personal, whether it's business, whatever, and it'll consume that time. And then we're not focusing on things that we should be focused on. Next thing you know, we're trying to have a fire sale to get rid of some stuff to make some things happen because we didn't do the things that we should have done when we should have done them because we didn't have a plan.
You got another book? I know all that's part of that other book. It seems like you got another book going. Right?
I am working on another one.
Are you?
Yes.
I figured.
Don't have a timeline on the completion yet.
No. All right. But no, yeah, that's where you guys doing that kind of stuff. Like we had Bob Ruth Ford too, and they would tell me, hey, every morning I go to the leads and they would manually write down the lead number and give it to the team lead. The team lead then took that number, make sure all day, and then they come back and filter back. And I'm like, you're doing that? I like, we can probably put that in the tool and just automatically get that done for you. So it's stuff like that, that if there's something in here, the things that you guys are doing or not doing, like even the email notifications and stuff, I want to send emails that are going to show you how many leads and how many worked. But do it not only in the morning, you got 100 active leads with cars still in stock, but maybe set it up to where you can do it multiple times a day. So you want another notification at 12, because now out of that 100, 30's been worked. They still got 70 to do, and it's already 12. And then maybe at 5, I show you another text and say, okay, all 100 out of 100's been worked. It's stuff like that. Things that
I love that. That keeps things
in a text
current,
message, not an email.
right in
or
front
either
of
way
you.
you
Yeah, that's the reminder.
Yeah.
Because if you don't go back to it, and if you don't have anything to bring you back to it, then there's where distractions come into play. And if we think that our people are focused and they're that detailed, and they're going to look at all the things that we're fooling ourselves. We got to give them something that pulls them back to it.
So one of the things too is, making sure we're ignoring our working cars. And I just had this last dealer here, and he was talking about how he relies on somebody else doing that. I said, well, then you want him to require. I said, I don't care if you come in here and I tell you you have a small pickup truck problem, and if you want to go in here and ignore every one of these cars today, do it. I said, just get in the habit of doing that, because at least you recognize you had a problem, and then you decided not to do anything about it. I said, but that's 2 steps ahead of that dealer down there that didn't even know he had the problem and didn't do nothing about it, right? You at least, and then if he does that for 2 or 3 weeks, and I can see he's ignoring, and then you got a big problem on your hands. Whose fault was that?
Right. That's our fault for letting it continue on.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that happens as well. We deal with problems by not dealing with problems, and those problems don't go away. They just continue to fester, and that's when it gets expensive.
Sounds like Tommy Gibbs. Tommy Gibbs always said that. He said you knew that age car was a problem from day one. You just didn't want to address it.
Didn't want to face the reality.
Yeah, you said, what's up with the 70-day-old car? Oh, it's the wrong color, too high miles. Was that just got that, or was that from day one? Yeah, you didn't want to handle it. Wrong color and wrong miles. So then when you come to new cars, I'm telling you, we're going to make new a lot better in reporting. This, again, not being an end user, but we used to break down color and body types and things like that and know exactly how that's moving on all these different issues. But there's a lot to be done on new. You said you have 76-day supply. I know it used to be the norm of 90, but I think after COVID, I thought 60s or more of that more. And where
Yeah,
do you
my
try to
threshold is
be?
I want to be like 65, 68. So that's the sweet spot for us. If we're there, we should have a good mix. We should have the things we need to do. We're not getting killed before planned. When you get above that 70-day mark, you really got to start dialing in and looking to see to keep yourself out of trouble.
What's the so? So you're selling about 300 new? Would that be right?
Yes.
All right.
On the Ford side, and then you got Lincoln on top of
Now I'll call you out on this. What stops you doing 1-to-1?
that. Yeah, you can call us out on that, and hopefully my guys are listening. We look at ourselves as being a new car store, and and we don't capture that entry level business. We don't capture that first time buyer, and for us being a Ford dealer, that has to be through used, and we don't do a good job of that. We are a college town. There's a ton of opportunity there, and that's what's going to allow us to make them a future customer. We got to capture that, and so we need to drive our transaction price down. We live in a county that is the highest per capita in the state of Florida, so that's a plus, but also it shifts our mind to the wrong things as well.
Makes me think. What university or college?
Flagler College.
Do you do? I'm assuming you probably do some work with them or anything.
We do. Letty is on the board with them, and she does a lot with them. But both Letty, Bo, and Grace are alumni of Flagler College as well. So yeah, we're very involved with them.
A couple ideas I always had if I was in a college town, I'd be partnered up with their photography department class and use those students as my photo people, and because they're always recycling. You always have an employee, and it could be a work program. I don't know if that's something you guys looked into or not, but I would do that. But the other thing I was thinking about, my daughter was I was talking to the other guy too. We ended up leasing a Honda for my daughter. But my son, the reason why I leased the Honda for my daughter was my son, we had a paid off Jeep. I had him ride in Arkansas. We're in Kansas City. And I had $3,000 in service bills that year. And it's him taking it to a shop, and the guy's calling me, it's $1,800. I'm like, is it really? Are you taking advantage of him and me? Because I can't, And so I felt insecure. And so I'm like, well, $3,000 in a year, that's $300 a month. I'm just going to lease a new one for my daughter. I don't have. So my point is, can you get that new student base, the freshmen coming in to reach out to the family and to be that servant? Hey, we're here. We understand your kids away. You can trust us. Try to sell them a car when they get, have you done any of that? Is that something you take advantage of?
We haven't done enough with the college to really get involved with them. We have done a little bit with them creating some material for us with photography and murals and whatever, but not ongoing. So from that standpoint, that's what we really miss, because it's just like what you just said with his Jeep. They have vehicles, they get in accidents there in St. Augustine, that different things happen. They have major mechanical issues, and we're not there for them. And we miss that element.
Yeah, I wish I had somebody in that town I knew and trust. Hey, go take it, take it to them. I've heard of them. They've reached out to us. We've done a program with the school. The school trusts them, because I felt like it made me feel bad because I'm in the car business, and here he is. He took it to a place, and I'm like, I don't know. I guess I'll trust him. Here's $1,800,
right?
And then, but
you
that's
don't have much of a choice.
No.
And for us, we do such a good job with the community. We feel like those things bleed in, but also we have all this organic growth of people moving into the community that knows nothing about who we are. Yeah. And everybody at that college knows nothing about who we are. We have to constantly reintroduce ourselves to the college and to the people moving into our town. The ones that's there, yes, they know who we are. We've established ourselves with them. But there's opportunity with both of those to really keep putting ourselves out there.
Yeah, that's why I was like, man, I'd get to know the teacher of that photograph class, even if it's an elective class. They've got them. They probably want side money as students. They could build their resume up and their portfolio up, and with the photo issues that they're taking at the dealership, and have them take pictures of the cars professionally, basically, in a way. And then when that kid quits, you already got another college kid coming in, and you just recycle those kids all the time.
And we can probably learn something from them as well, because that's what they're in tune with. That's what they're studying. That's what they're doing. And yes, there's opportunity there.
Yeah. So you could do an internship, but pay them, and then they can just rotate through the clients, and it's a privilege. Who gets to be the Beaux-Arts, exactly. Photo person? Everybody wants that job. All right. So inventory. Again, I don't know. Here, let me see this. You guys. when I see accounts like you guys, one of the things I did, and this is outside perspective for you too, outside looking in. One of the things I always try to specify, because I wasn't able to do these in these tools, but most dealerships are, like you said, we're a good new car dealership. We know our Fords, but what about our non-Fords or our trade versus purchases? So when I see somebody, doing a 68% sale rate, and as clean, as fresh as you are, it looks like there's nothing I could pick on you guys about, right? There's just not much there. But a couple things, my cheat sheet, I go look at franchise, see it at 73%, to non at 61, or trades 66, and purchases 92. Okay, so a couple indicators there. Maybe the purchases are too cheap and too fast. Trades we need to work on a little bit, and again, the non-franchises, but you're not too far off. But your franchise are moving really well, 73%. I can't remember, you guys certified 80% of certified.
Yes.
So again, if I was to pinpoint anything, non-franchise be red flag. I would also look at franchise and certified. It could be too fast, too cheap. I mean, we're moving them maybe too cheap. But no one, I don't know. It seems like you guys are like, nah, you're not.
No, we need to move the transaction price down because that's that entry level, and we did move it down. I think from 37 to 34 last year, but I'd like to see that get in that upper 20s.
Yeah.
And that really gives us opportunity to hit that entry level vehicle.
But I mean, price to market too. Maybe we're just getting too aggressive on the market, like too cheap, like saying not the average
aggressive
price,
early.
but say
Right.
where we can maybe ask a little more in our own product, because you turn that naturally. And going to that 1-to-1, is that a goal to go from 170 to 300? And then do you have the space? What would it entail? Do you have the service capacity to turn that type of cars?
So yeah, we certainly have the capacity to turn them, and yes, do we want to get there? We do, and a goal for 2024. We didn't put a number on it for 2025. We put some different priorities of driving that transaction price down. But the goal for 2024 was to get to 300 used a month.
Okay.
And we danced there a couple times, but then I think we averaged at 270. But this year, if we do the right things, then that becomes the byproduct. The volume becomes the byproduct of how many we sell there. It's a different mix.
275. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different mix of what we need to drive or bring in and hang on to. We don't make good decisions on our purchases. We need to get better at that.
No one does.
Exactly.
It's always, if you purchase it, you're the last arm up.
They've already tried to sell it to 10 other people.
Yeah. You're the highest bidder, so you bought it wrong.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
So we got some opportunities in a couple of things, but I really want to see us hang on to that entry level vehicle where we can dance in a market that we don't dance in, and that's what allows us to win.
Yeah.
To conquest.
So the one thing, I would say, if anything, because you did peak at 275, and then it kind of just dropped down into that 160. And you guys are a little bit opposite, not right now. Like, okay, so January 250, but now you're down quite a bit, 80 units. And usually, guys, I said different because right now they're ramping up for tax season.
But that's the vehicle we don't normally chase after, and that's a huge volume opportunity for us.
It is, but that's where I wouldn't want to get caught up either. Some dealers over anticipate that, and then by April or May they're stuck with all these cars. So I think you're clean, because you always want to carry what you're selling. You've exceeded that, the 50% by selling 68. You haven't hit what? If I would. Is it the purchases that just throw it off, or do you think it's the new car trades that are throwing it off? I mean, are you consistently buying, let's say, 50 a week? It's just we just didn't get as many trades, or is it that takes you from 250 down to 180, and then?
No, I can't say that it's. We've intentionally pulled back on purchases, and that's where it's dropping. And we got to pay more attention to the other elements.
Is that auction purchases, service drive purchases, private party?
Private party is
Private party.
We really paid attention to. Let's pull back on that. We need to do a better job with equity mining in the lane with service purchases. And I never want to buy something from the auction, because if I'm buying something from the auction, it's already something somebody else said no to.
Yeah.
They didn't want to retail it. So do we buy them from the auction? Yes, but I want that to be very pinpointed and specific reasons why, because it's not necessarily our best option to buy from.
So the private party acquisition, you purposely decided to cut back, or is this just a staffing thing? We had people, but we had lost a couple. We never brought them back.
No, we've decided to pull back on it because we're not good at it. So let's
Ah.
pull back. Let's get better at it. Then we can turn that back up.
Okay.
And then we need to do a better job of equity mining in the lane and chasing that down a bit. We've been very hot and cold, but quite frankly, and we're 4 years deep, and I take responsibility of that. We haven't done a good job since COVID on that. Before COVID, we was doing a really good job. I had people stationed there. It's been a focus. Some things have changed. We moved people around since then, and we have to get back focused on that. So that's why I said we didn't put a priority on the number of units this year. We put a priority on the elements that drives
Quality,
those
yeah.
things. Yes.
Quality over quantity.
It'll
All right.
drive the quantity.
So we know where we need to help you. Then we need to make sure you guys are. So then you're pretty much going to want to steady 200 and hopefully build up to 300.
I want to turn my used inventory multiple times a month or more than once a month. So I don't want to carry 250 units to sell 300.
Yeah.
I want to carry 180, 200 units and rotate them. And with the right inventory, we can. We do a good job once we get you there. What I want to do is drive fleets that we have that are not driving right now. And that's what's driving that transaction price down.
Well, and that's what I love. I was pulling this up, and this is what I love about your store. And so this is where I think you can get away with it. The dealers that are clean like you are. You got 80% fresh. You're selling 70% fresh. I have another account that I deal with Lasco and stuff. Like right now, they're pricing a little high. I said, but your volume's there, so keep it. Keep your price high. Let's see if we can ride this out. And as soon as that starts dropping off, we make adjustments. And when you're clean, you get to have fun and play around with that.
You can try a few things.
Yeah, and that's where this is going back a whole year. And if you just look, the red line's your age. I mean, if I go to any other dealers, there's so many peaks and valleys. And you're going to have that in 0 to 15.
Yeah. And
you see how it peaked here, that light green, and then they ended up in the dark green. But guess what? They didn't end up in the yellow, right?
Exactly.
They didn't end up there. So you guys are disciplined enough and that's where I think you can have fun. You can get the 3, but it's like, because you can react to this quicker than most.
Well, and you're giving us a lot of credit there, but you guys do a good job of keeping us focused on the right things. And when you do that, that's the partnership that allows us to run clean.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, and this is an emotional business. We make emotional decisions. And in order to make good decisions, you got to pull back on those emotions. And that's where you guys keep us in check. And I greatly appreciate that.
No, that's awesome. That's because right now you're 3 units heavy and 16 to 30. So if we don't attack that, then those are going to be. And so it's a double-sided approach. You guys have to be aggressive. And I love you guys' top-down approach on all this. And you guys do a great job. And again, anything that you think we could do better for you, like I said, I want to try to do those text messages, notifications, let you say, hey, I want one at 8 a.m. and I want one at 12 and I want one at 3. And that way we can just say, you can see that progress.
I love it. That's little reminders that keeps us in check with the business.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot that a lot of times as managers, we spend times with our people that perform. And we should be spending time with the people that's not performing because they're disrupting the ones that are performing. Well, that's the same thing here. We spend time on other things instead of looking at the things we should. And when you get that reminder, all right, let me go see where we're at here. Let's go see where we're at. So I love that. It pulls us back to reality.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I won't keep you much longer. And thank you for an opportunity to work with your stores.
I appreciate what you guys do for us.
Awesome.
Great partners. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, sir. Can't wait to win the next book. Hey, did you see this? So my WTF book got translated into Russia. If you want, hey,
Wow.
I can hook you up with the guy. So I forgot who. One of the guys that writes books in the industry, he got it translated in Russia. I reached out, like, how'd that happen? He goes, oh, I can hook you up with the guy. And what's cool about this, like I said, if it's something you want to do with your book, I don't say you sign over your rights. You basically give them your book.
Right.
They do the translation. So that what this company does, see this company here?
Yep.
And they get a sponsor and they get ad placement.
Yep.
All right. They translate the book, they sell it, and then I get like, I don't know if it's 60%, but I get a certain cut,
Yep.
of but it's not international author. Like, I don't know how that looks like
Right.
Jason Rice, but you know.
But it does
We
somehow.
got that done. And so like the other day I got like a royalty check of like $100. It was like 250, like the first check, like $100 here. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like every couple months they'll say, hey, we sold some more of your books, and here he's probably floating around here that does it. He's at these events. He comes from Russia, and but yeah, if you want your book, I can hook you up with him. Let me know.
Yeah, I like to
Reach
chat
out
with
to me.
I'm working on rewriting
Didn't cost
the
me
original one, right?
Yeah, and
Because I want to add some more elements to it. As soon as you get done, as you know, as soon as you get done, you think, man, I left this out, I left this out.
oh yeah.
So I'm gonna do a revision, then we can certainly do some of that.
So I'm gonna do another one, and I haven't worked on it yet, but my WTF was Work the Facts, and Patrick Abad gave me this. I'm like, I'm trying to think of the new name. I don't want people to know. He goes, no, keep it WTF, but because I said I wanted to be based on the internet, all the new internet data, because this is not in there. But work these first as far as the leads, you know,
There you go.
in stock. Work these first, and so that's going to be probably the title, and it's going to be wrapped around all that internet data that we have. I just haven't had my chance to wrap my hands around it. So just to let you know what we're going in next year, I'm going to really enhance new car reporting. I'm going to be enhancing internet reporting, and I would love for you to be able to contact out of here, text message and stuff, maybe. But those are the two areas I'm going to work for. And then again, like I said, if I'm already looking back 2 weeks, I'm going to push you forward. I'm going to show you the future. But I also could do that with your markup, because I know in 2 weeks it probably costs you about $1,000. Because you're going to reduce the price about you're going to go from 98% to 96. That's about $500.
Yep.
And then holding costs at $50 a day at 14 days is $700. You know, so I know, okay, yeah, you got $2,000 markup, but this car's here in 2 weeks. It's going to bleed to this bucket, and you're going to lose another $1,000 and give you that
Make decisions
profitability
sooner, yes.
forward. Yeah. Anyways,
Look at the lens a little bit wider.
yeah.
Yes.
I look back. We can look forward for it.
Yes.
We're already projecting it. Let's just show what it's going to look like.
I love that you guys constantly evolving.
All right.
Thank you, Jason.
Appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
You need a water or anything? We got water. So
I'm good. Thank you. Excellent. How are you?